This is the crossover. Evan Giddings in for Matt Steinmetz with Daryl the Guru Johnson, Mark Willard, Dan Dibley. What's going on, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Boys.
Big E.
It's a payday for one of us.
We call me dog.
Yeah. Actually, two of you, because my partner gets it early, too.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I don't know why.
I don't like that.
either.
It will show up at some point during the show. I don't know why. I'd like, if you want to do a buzzer or something, like you want some alarms to go off when it posts, I'll let you know. I don't think it's in there yet, but it's going to be there before we get out of there.
It says at 2:12.
I don't know what it just started doing that.
Wow.
It kind of ruined Payday Friday for me.
Yeah, I'm like
half of it's gone already by the time y'all are celebrating.
I like the delayed gratification that I get. It's Fremont Bank, full service banking.
No compromise.
You'll get it Friday.
Apparently no promises either.
No,
You hit me last Friday. We had an early, usually we're there. I said difference
Yeah.
the bat signal.
Well, because, you owe us. You owe us a pop. And so Mark and I, we both passed by the cafeteria on our way back to the car.
Yeah, hey, we were
It was
going.
about 6:10, and I was hot stepping, and I was thinking, you know what? I'm a duck in.
Yeah, get it.
I'm a duck in and see if I can get one, but he was long gone.
Well, 4 hours or 3.5 if we're being generous. It's a long time at the ship.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yes and no. I've seen
it's doable.
I've seen your normal partner.
doable,
I've seen your normal partner put in a shift, so to speak.
But when people come up to you, they're like, "Are you Guru and Steiny?" Then it's like you're
like,
working
no.
again, and we love the people. It's like, no, we just wanted silence, but it's a compliment. Can I share something that's bothering me?
Oh,
And I told
that's
Evan,
right. Coming up at 2. That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
It feels like Friday.
It's like payday.
I let Evan down.
I can do mine.
Yeah, it feels like Friday.
And I'm not participation
like 80
trophy guy, but if the NBA is about growing your sport and showing all the new and upcoming talent, why would you give, and this is nothing on Jokic, I love him, why would you give Mark Willard his third MVP when he already has 2, and you got this young phenom in OKC who, by the way, got the #1 seed, averaged 36 and 6. Yeah. Let's break the youngster off his first MVP and show the world it's the super friend.
Did you not listen to Sam Amick today on your
didn't
very
like his
program?
answer, but go ahead.
I mean, he shut the goo down on 4 different fronts.
Yeah, it was tough.
I didn't like they backed into the #1 seed.
First of all, they were the
OKC.
1 seed based on a tiebreaker. They had the same record.
It's true.
Oh, but they're still #1.
Number 2, Jokic and shots created. He created a lot more points based on his assists versus Gilgeous-Alexander's
Give the
assists.
last one, which bothered me.
The fact that he voted him 3rd?
No, he said if you remove him off his said team.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if we're
I always
doing
hate that one. I hate
Willard,
that one.
that's the one
That's
that
the
I'm like,
stupidest
come
thing.
on.
That's the stupidest
Meet
thing.
me halfway.
The stupidest thing.
Kenny
This
Loggins.
is why Russell Westbrook won. He won for 2 reasons a few years ago. Because nerds are into stats. Hey, you average a triple-double. Good for you. And also, everyone used that stupid point. If you took him off of that team, they'd be crap. I'm like, then you're voting and saying, we will vote for the person who has the crappiest teammates.
Right. Forget the season. Forget the
value.
season.
And the other argument that you're saying is like, why you got to give a guy a 3rd? Well, they did that last year to Jokic. They gave it to Embiid.
Yeah.
So Jokic could have his 4th this year because last year was. I thought Jokic deserved
close.
it more last year
I
than
was
he did this
surprised
year.
Embiid got
Can I answer it in a different way,
Go
though?
ahead. Feel free.
You're presenting it as if this is something the NBA is just like there's like Mr. God NBA comes out with white smoke and says Nikola Jokic wins the MVP. This is voting by like 99 different people.
Yeah.
So how can you collectively be like, come on, NBA, you got to do this?
I got PTSD, Willard, from the history of the trophy. When
I got 99 opinions and yours ain't one.
That's a 4. When Nash stole the 2 from Kobe, Jordan could have got 8,000 more. I get it, but that's the one that bothered me, Evan and Dibs. And Willard, thank you for having my back. And I didn't even know if you took him off the team. Well, guess what? He's on the team, and it was about this year, and I thought Shea balled out. 36 and 6 on a young and upcoming team who delivered. And you're right. There is no committee. They're voters. I just thought it was break the kid off his first.
Well, they're
one.
human beings, and I actually asked a voter yesterday, Ramona Shelburne.
Yeah,
She goes by Momo. And I said, I think it was a parting question. It wasn't even really a question. It was more like a, hey, so Momo, what if you would have voted today? You think that would have gone a little bit differently? And she kind of laughed and said, oh, but yeah, boy. And so I do think going forward, if the Joker does go out like a lamb in this playoff, there's going to be some voter fatigue about voting for it. Yeah, because the lasting image from this year will be you got bottled up by Minnesota. Wow. You lost in 4 or 5. That's going to be imprinted. So if it's close again, you've already got 3. I think now going forward, you're going to look for somebody else.
Our fan base knows better than anybody what that can feel like. Like Dirk Nowitzki.
That was the worst thing ever.
That was the most embarrassing MVP presentation, press conference in the history of sports.
The German Moses.
Yeah, absolutely. Like walking out there being like, dude, like you got knocked out of the playoffs like 3 weeks ago. Here's your trophy.
Man.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I get that it's a separate award. I go a little back and forth. There's a piece of me that would love to see them just do it after the whole thing is over.
Well, to your point, the same thing happened to Giannis. I mean, it's why now I think a lot of people don't look at him as a automatic top 3 MVP guys because he's already won his trophies, both regular and postseason, and now he's been a first-round exit the last 2 years. So people are wondering, all right.
Evan, he's been injured, though.
He has. He still hasn't made the second round of the playoffs the last 2 years. So, I mean, that could happen to Jokic. But it's interesting you brought up the analytics part because, someone like Russell Westbrook did compile stats, but analytics darlings love someone like Nikola Jokic. And I do wonder that if he does get bounced and loses in the second round, and the taste less in our mouth is this guy is not good enough to beat a Minnesota team, do those analytics still apply next year when he is probably going to be the most efficient player in basketball? Or do we not get our laptops out and go back to the traditional, which is you're the 1 seed, you're the best player, you're probably the MVP?
Well, I'm a big believer in what is the team doing. Like, that's what the word value means to me. Value is based on value toward what? So this is why, like, when we used to have the debates in baseball, even about, like, Shohei Ohtani does enough to where you're like, all right, fine, we get it. You're the MVP.
We get it.
But normally, if you're, like, I've been a believer of this for a long time. If your team in baseball is in 4th place, you're not even eligible. Like, I don't think the MVP should ever come from a team that's not a top 4 seed. And Denver, to go to the point you're making, a few weeks ago, I think we all felt like Nikola was not just the best player, but he was on the most important team.
Denver and Boston in the finals.
They had that look. They had the look down the stretch of just such a well-oiled machine. And so now I do think if we're frustrated about Jokic, it's a little prisoner of the moment because of how they've looked the last 6 nights.
I also think the other piece that hurts him going forward is the fact that only 5 players have ever won 4 or more MVPs. So if he gets another one, he's ahead of Magic, Larry, and Moses Malone.
With 100 years left in his career.
Yeah, now you're alongside LeBron, Wilt, Michael, Bill Russell, and Kareem.
Wow.
So, and I don't know if that's necessarily a fair way to look at it, but as a human voter, you think about the legacy part of it, and I think if it's close going forward, you're more likely to do what you think they would have done this year or should have done this year and give it to Shea.
Well, and especially if they do get knocked out in the second round, if they get swept here.
I don't know why I stopped. I didn't take that in consideration. Like, the regular season ended and I just stopped. Like, I'm not, Jokic, I wouldn't have said this is a stain to him because in my mind, I feel like the books were closed.
Were you expecting Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to win this award?
I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought, Evan, that's why I was shocked.
Watch a lot of those post-game on-court interviews where Chet Holmgren's telling you he's the MVP.
What are
both
the kids
Jalen Williams
doing?
is.
Have you seen this? Where the whole team is doing the post-game interview now?
On OKC, it's like, TNT or ESPN's got their sideline
can we
reporters.
talk to you, Mark Willard? And the whole team comes over and they're all, and she can't even get her question in. It's so whack.
That's college. I haven't seen it.
No, it's a pro.
Yeah. No, that's a college thing.
Oh, yeah, it's so whack. I'm like,
apparently it's what a pro wants now.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm out. Good God,
the elder statesman, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah. Grow up. Let the gal ask the question.
But that's who they are.
It's unity, dude.
That's who the Thunder are.
Queen Latifah.
Bunch of
That's
props.
a 4.
That's a solid, maybe a 5 from his
Willard is
demographic.
impressed on that one.
That came out before he was born.
Yeah, Ramona didn't even she didn't vote for shade number 2.
And Sam has said it too. He had Luka.
Yeah.
She voted for Brunson.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
I thought she had Brunson 3rd.
I thought she had Brunson 2nd.
Because
Isn't
I
that
thought
what she said?
I'll have to check. I thought Brunson got 3 third-place votes, but I'll check the voting breakdown.
Okay.
I might have had that.
Why
one
are
wrong.
there? I
She
told
did
Evan
say,
this.
she's like, I'm one of 3 people who gave him
Yes.
that vote. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
maybe
MVP
I'm the
last
biggest
night.
Brunson fan, but Philly and Van Gundy's backed me up on this, and the Pacers are not trapped to get the ball out of his hands.
They got a lot of 3-point shooting, though, on the floor. So,
I'd rather die that way than this dude just killing me.
second place.
Second place.
Okay, I apologize.
Three
Yeah.
second place
Brunson,
votes for
two.
Jalen Brunson.
Wow.
And, yeah, Momo was
That's a
one
2.
of.
Think
she was
Dallas
one of them.
regressed
Thank you.
that trade or nah? They got Kyrie.
Yeah, they got Kyrie.
They went to the Western Conference Finals, lost to the Warriors with Brunson, and he wasn't even Brunson.
Right.
Or
Right.
maybe you can't be with Luka.
Yeah, he's a breakout though, man.
This
He's-
is
he's,
wow.
He's something else.
It is nice watching the guard. My bad.
No, you're good. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM, and HD1 San Francisco, and Odyssey Sports Station. Always live in the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Upgrade your savings dividend. Open a First NorCal First Class Money Market today. No, I think you're right. I mean, well, what Brunson did last night was impressive. We were talking about this earlier, kind of what you took away from the game. I just was appalled by the fact that there wasn't a starter over the age of 30 on the floor last night. And when I'm looking at the Warriors,
Oh boy,
it just feels like that's more and more the direction that I would like to see them go. But a lot of people might also feel, because Amick brought this name up, Paul George, who's still a productive all-star caliber player, doesn't necessarily do it for me.
Yeah.
But I also don't
I love
necessarily
him.
don't want. I mean, I don't want LeBron James here next year. So
Well, that's why I keep thinking part of this almost needs to be a little bit of an experiment that you're willing to take without totally crushing your future. It was interesting that Ramona said yesterday she thinks that Jonathan Kuminga's like
Evan played it.
off
I
the
couldn't
table,
believe it.
Off the table.
Yeah.
Okay, well maybe that'll calm some people down with regard to them going all in on now and just totally mortgaging the future. But yeah, would you rather these two things? Let's say that you look at Steph and you're like, we're kind of out of options, and so we're going to bring Klay back, and we're going to tighten the screws a little bit, but it's pretty much going to be the same core team, and we'll go try again. Or is your big change, hey, we can bring you somebody, but this person's also going to be 35 or 39.
I like the latter. I like that right
let's
there.
Let's play old guy basketball
And
against the young guys.
And I'll sleep better
Right.
at night, guys, knowing I told Evan this all day. We went that route and if it doesn't work, Dibs, we tried.
And maybe it'll work out like the movie Uncle Drew.
Yeah. But waiting for these eggs
and
to
maybe it
hatch
won't.
and they don't hatch,
You know?
or they're just okay, then it's like you think about my life. What could have been?
Yeah. Well,
You know, like,
shockingly entertaining. I mean,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
I'm like Kevin Durant. The one thing that he and I have in common is we don't believe in regret. So
I hadn't heard
think-
him say that.
Yeah.
or head coaching.
Well, he said, I actually,
Vogel fired.
former head coach myself, I believe in head coaching.
okay.
So,
Sorry.
coached for about 2 decades, but you wouldn't know that.
Not for
'cause
KD.
you were born just a couple weeks ago. But, NCS championships in multiple spots. But I think when you look at how you're going to...
He's so real.
I don't love the young people,
Get
Grant.
outta here.
Go ahead and play that drop. I don't love the young people. Yeah, thank you. It's much more appropriate. Where was I? Talking about the approach. I think that you would love to get younger, but can you get younger by bringing in 2 rotational pieces if Klay goes? And the key for me is, can you find somebody to take Chris Paul? If you can find somebody to eat and dismiss that $30 million, now you've got action. If nobody's interested in that, and Ramon actually said to us yesterday that the Chris Paul contract is more attractive than we think for a team that might just want to shed 30. So they give the Warriors $30 million worth of player. They take the 30 from Chris, and they say, Chris, don't even bother coming out here. You're gone.
What about the Spurs?
The Spurs might be a team.
Well, they need a point guard, too.
But no matter what you do with Chris, you'd have to attach at least
okay.
a pick
All right.
to
Gotcha.
sweeten the pot for a team. But that might be a way to get a couple of 27, 25-year-old guys who might be ready to improve.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's going to be a gradual thing. Whether there's a big move that happens this summer or not, I think their path to contention is not one that is flipped on its head in the summer. And if it is, it's because Draymond Green played a full season, was a really good player. Steph Curry's back to, top 10 type of production. And I think it's going to be because of their older players playing better than they did last year. Or perhaps some of the young guys catching up as well. I just don't know if it's a DeJounte Murray or a Brandon Ingram. These are players that are in their 20s that are projects, so to speak. They're flawed, but they have things you could use to retool. Maybe that's something that you consider, but I wouldn't want to mortgage even more of my future than I already have.
I just think that and I've said this before, I don't know that they're sitting there right now grinding over the X's and O's of how this team can be a championship contender again next year. I think they think, and Joe Lacob thinks this way, how are they creating excitement?
Yeah.
How do you get this fan base excited by October?
What if I said Steph Curry's still playing?
That's already a given. New excitement needs to be generated.
Oh, you got to go get something.
What is that? I'm not saying it needs to be one thing, but instead of they need a 3 and D, and they need how do you get this fan base excited about October? How do you do that?
I think Paul George would get fans excited. And I love PG. I just don't think he'd be a fit, but that to me would create buzz, I believe.
Probably.
To put him with Steph and play the best basketball or most easiest with him and Dre, to me, that's just my first answer.
Is that in place of Klay?
Now, that's interesting because we talked about it, and I want to run this by you two real quick here. If I were Klay Thompson and you told me it's not just the money, it's my role. And if you told me PG-13 or Kevin Durant was coming and Klay, we need you to come off the bench, I might be like, you know what, Willard? Oh, I get that. But if you're telling Klay that it's going to be Moody or Pods, that's where I'm like, Klay is like deuces. So I am interested to see. I really believe that's a deal breaker for Klay is the role of, if you want me to come off the bench, you better have a stud that I can say, you know what, I get that. I'll come off firing but if you're going to tell me these guys are what you did, I'm out.
There's a little bit of it sounds like there's a little bit of a sales job that needs to happen there.
Wow.
And he needs to, we get, I don't want to say we know Klay, but we know how Klay operates.
Down.
He needs to feel the respect. He needs to feel.
And that's okay.
Yeah, but he needs to feel loved. He needs to feel.
We all do.
He needs to feel acknowledged. He
needs to be seen. He needs to feel seen.
Seen and heard. Yes.
Right.
No, and that history, what he's achieved, needs to all be baked into how the Warriors present to him whatever it is they're trying to do. And is that wrapped up in money? Some. But I agree with you. I think it's wrapped up more in role. How do you see the remainder of this contract going, or this new contract going?
And how does he see his career? Because from the Warriors, it could present a sample size that says, Klay, if you want to be a 42% three-point shooter and you want to score just as many points as you did before, maybe we keep you at 27 or 28 minutes, and we can do that more feasibly by you coming off the bench. So you can be a better version of yourself. You can still have the best version of your life here in the Bay Area, but it's not as a starter. I mean, that's how I see him moving forward, helping the Warriors. And if he is a starter next year at the 2, I think it's because there's no other option that's better. And if there's no other option that's better, I think we're going to be probably sitting here next year in the same place wondering, well, how are we going to get an upgrade?
When are the play-in games next year so I can make sure I don't take those days off as vacation? To me, the interesting thing with Klay is, what does he prioritize number one on his list? Is it location, role, money, winning? Which one of those is the most important? Because
what would your answer be?
If I were Klay?
Yeah.
If I were Klay,
mine is role.
Mine would be location. And I understand quality of life. Mark and I talked about this yesterday. I now live in a different community than I did for more than 20 years, and I'm happy. It's quieter, it's safer, and it's really kind of what I've wanted for a long time. So even though my commute's longer and my expenses are higher, and There are certain things about my life that are more difficult. I have a 2-year-old baby. I'm not going to be able to retire at 56, for example. There are sacrifices that I made for certain things that I benefited from. So if I'm Klay and I live in Tiburon and I boat to work and I've made $250 million already on the floor and probably another 50+ million off the court, money-wise, I'm good. I've won championships. I'm good on my legacy. Can I still win? Probably. So if I'm Klay, I might be open to taking $18 million a year to stay in order for them to bring in a mid-level piece to help us win. I still boat to work. I'm still rich. We might have a chance to win. I get to play with my buddies. That to me would be the way I would prioritize it if I were Klay.
But you're watching the guys that you built this with still start, and you got to
still
come
make
off the
more,
bench.
right?
That would eat me. That would eat me alive.
Draymond's 25.
Wiggins is 23.
Everybody's got what would make them tick.
Yeah.
And the beauty of Klay is, I don't know sometimes that he knows what makes him tick.
Even his own father doesn't know because they don't talk about it.
I think he knows. He just ain't.
He came on our show.
I heard him.
Oh, we don't talk.
I was in the car
sarcasm noted. Sarcasm noted. But anyway, point being is I think that was his answer at the end of the year. He's like, I have to go figure out. I got to prioritize this. What is it? What is it that's going to make me feel good the rest of the way?
That's big.
I don't know, but I feel like money is not fully driving that bus.
Mine is roll. I think it's roll, man, especially here.
Yeah, I think it's rolled too. But we know that money's apparently driving your guys' Thursdays because it's a payday for you. We're gonna have to wait 24 hours.
Let me check.
No, I get it with them too.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's half and half.
Don't.
Right now.
We do. Why do you get it
excluded?
Well, ask me. That's just the bank said 2 days early.
Is that a bank thing?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Of America.
Did you say 2/12 or you were joking because that's when you're leaving?
No, he got a date. Ooh,
okay.
Why do you keep doing that?
That's my bad. I'm proud.
He's an open book.
I know he is. God love him.
I'm proud. I'm proud that someone near me.
I almost seen two hosts fight. They'll go nameless at this station because one was on Tinder app and he had a girl, and then the other guy was doing the show. They were ending the show.
That we don't know.
And he was like, Willard's on Tinder, and he gave him a warning, and then it happened again the next day. And during I can write a book, but it was great. Yeah.
Don't look at me. I've been married for 37 years.
You said two hosts?
Yeah.
I haven't worked here long enough.
Two
different
hosts.
roles. Yeah. One
Inside.
was
Yeah. Fisticuffs.
Pre-Nahegan. Yeah.
You just never
I've
know.
seen a lot.
But,
All right,
Good
gentlemen.
luck, Evan.
Don't hit us with an all right, gents.
All right, gents.
You don't have to go.
Well, I got to go enjoy this 80-degree weather. That's actually what I'm about to get
nice
into.
out.
It is a perfect day in the
I'm
city.
trying to figure out why Rick Carlisle is so mad. We'll get into it. 78 calls.
Coming up from 2 to 6. Willard and Dibs.